gives you something to do, just do it. And in doing it, don't quit. Remember, if you're going through hell, keep going. You have a destiny. You have a purpose. And God is waiting on you to get there. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Let's Talk with Samantha Williams. I want to encourage you to please subscribe to this podcast. Go ahead and go ahead and share so that anyone you know who may be able to benefit from this can be able to glean from this and help them to get to where they need to be. And so today we have a special guest with us. Her testimony is powerful. It is inspiring. She pretty much, transformed her situation as to getting her from where she was to pretty much where she is right now. And so if you know, you know. She is the proprietor of Lotus Healing Massage Therapy. And listen, I just have to give her a shameless plug because those massages are like fire. Those massages are life, right? So please help me welcome no other than Brandy.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Listen, Brandy, I am so excited to have you here today because your story is one of inspiration. Your story, I remember when I first heard you speak about your story, I was like, who is this girl? And how can I get in contact with her? Because I was like, lives are going to be changed, lives are going to be touched. Okay. And so, you know, without further ado, I just want us to just get into your story real quick. Just before we start, how you feel about sharing your story today?
I I love thank you for having me again, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share my story. Any time I get to do so, my life is an open book, which is why I started my platform on TikTok. And I was always born with a voice, just like you. And so I think I've always been born with the story and born with the voice to tell the story. So I'm glad to be here today. Hopefully, my story will inspire others and let people know that they're not alone. And a lot of us share the same struggles, but we just don't talk about it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So before we get into the struggles, right? We want to talk about your foundation, your childhood, and your upbringing. So let's start there. How would you describe your childhood and your upbringing?
Think about my childhood. It's always I don't want to focus on negative things because I was always loved by my family. I always had a roof over my head. I never needed for anything. But at the same time, I experienced a lot of trauma in the form of sexual abuse
Yeah.
as a child from very young. Um, Self-esteem issues, insecurity, didn't never really got along well with my peers. I had behavioral issues, emotional issues. So, relatively compared to a lot of people, I have no complaints about my childhood. I was well looked after. But there were some things that were unfortunate and ultimately led me down a certain path
Yeah.
in my young adulthood.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's relatable because a lot of people have experiences. And a lot of times when we have things that are destined for us to do, we have obstacles that take place, right? So I always say, some powerful individuals have some really difficult struggles starting at the beginning, you know? So pretty much you mentioned you had a good you had a roof over your head. You don't want to focus on the negative, and I admire that and I encourage that, you know and so I would like for you to discuss your relationship with your mom, your dad, your siblings. What kind of relationship you had with them growing up?
Unfortunately, I never really had much of a close relationship with my siblings. I grew up with one sister.
Hmm.
Her and I were never very close. It was hard. So it was always hard to relate to people growing up, not just my siblings, just other young
Yeah,
people in general. I
yeah,
feel like I was always in a different headspace.
yeah.
And then I had other siblings that grew up in different homes, so we never
Hmm.
really got the chance to be very close.
Hmm.
My father wasn't as around. nearly as much as I would have liked,
Yeah.
or what would have been better for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's what caused me to crave a lot of male validation growing up. That also allow other males to come around me that they shouldn't have. There should have been that barrier.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Me and my mother. Hmm. When they say, "Oh, you're so like your ma, you're just like your ma." I don't know. She always did her best, and I
Yeah.
believe that. Me and I had a lot of rough times growing up, a lot. But I could say that at this point in my life, if there's anything serious I need to talk about, I call her first.
Yeah.
Whether it's about my business, whether it's about my relationships, personal, sometimes like personal struggles. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We've overcome a lot
Yeah.
over the years. There was times of me blaming her, asking questions, how did these things happen, why these things happen, but ultimately I know that she did her best. She was young, she was a single mother.
Yeah.
She did her best. She worked a lot to take care of me and my sister. I love my mom. I appreciate her very much.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, I say, a lot of Bahamian people, a lot of people in general can relate to, a lot of the trials that we go through with our parents. I'm not exempt. Okay. So I understand what you're saying. And it's a beautiful thing when you as an adult can say, I understood, she did her best, and I love my mom. That's a beautiful thing. And I'm happy to hear you say that. That in itself shows growth and healing. So, did you ever feel emotionally safe as a child?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I remember always feeling like the sensitive one in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Not to bash on my family or anything, where
Yeah.
I didn't come from the most sensitive household.
Yeah.
It wasn't directly abusive, but I think I was just always a softer
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel like communication with me and my family, it always hit a brick wall. Sometimes I felt like I wasn't heard. Sometimes I felt misunderstood.
Yeah.
Expectations of me were always high, and I feel like I don't know. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
what was the exact words you used?
Emotionally safe.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think I did. And the first time I ever felt emotionally safe was actually in the hands of the wrong person.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
that might
Yeah.
be your next question,
Yeah.
but
We're going to get to that.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, we're going to get to that. Now, looking back, if you can go back and talk to your younger self in those early years, what would you say to her?
I would tell her that she is good enough,
Mm.
because I spent a lot of my younger years comparing myself to other young girls that I thought was prettier.
Yeah.
And I think that's the importance of having a male figure in your life too. Your father, most especially, to give you that. I never felt like a princess.
Yeah.
I never
Yeah.
even imagined myself in a white dress down the aisle.
Yeah.
This is how like emotionally removed I was from. Like, I didn't have self confidence. I wasn't confident.
Yeah.
I would tell my younger self that I am enough, that I am beautiful,
Mm.
that I don't have to be like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell my younger self that everything is going to work out.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Listen, Brandy, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. And I just want to say, because I remember when we first started speaking, I told you, I said, I already remember seeing you on the TikTok
Hmm.
telling your story. I was like, again, I was like, who is this girl? How can I get in contact with her? And in addition to that, I said, such a beautiful girl who looks like she was born for locks.
Oh yeah, I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to lock my hair.
Like,
And it's so funny you say that, Samantha, because
uh-huh.
a part of my insecurity
Mhm.
in grade 7, everybody, I went to Bishop Michael Eldon. All the girls had perms.
Mhm.
I was there on a scholarship. These girls, most of the people around me, they came from money. They could afford
Yeah.
their school fees. My mommy was
Mhm.
working hard to pay my school fees. So
Yeah.
my hair, I had natural hair. I was the natural girl, and I I begged my mommy for years to perm my hair just so I could feel. And for a year later, I was like, I can't wait to graduate so I could just lock my hair.
Yeah.
You know, I went through so much, like so much of a night, like figuring out my identity, comparing myself to other young people.
Yeah.
But eventually, I realized that I was just, born a different cloth.
Yeah. And once you realize that, then you know how to navigate moving forward. Right.
It took me a while to get there.
Yeah. Now, pretty much, you had mentioned that you experienced trauma and some levels of abuse. So we're going to discuss that right now. Let us know, did you feel safe? Because you mentioned that you did experience abuse at the hands of someone the family knew and trusted.
Mm-hmm.
And so did you feel like you could tell someone about that and why or why not?
A lot of times I go back in my mind and I wonder why I didn't tell anyone sooner.
Yeah.
And I'll just be honest and say that this is a person that I loved, and this is a person that I thought loved me. This was never a predator in the normal sense of the word.
Yeah.
He was very sly and cunning in the way that he groomed me.
Yeah.
So I think I had a sense that it was wrong.
Yeah.
I knew it was wrong. I knew we was keeping this secret.
Mm-hmm.
But it was literally, I felt like it was the only source of love I had at the time. And unfortunately, my first idea of love was actually abuse.
Yeah.
But while everybody, I didn't have a good relationship with my parents or my siblings, didn't have any friends at school. Unfortunately, that was the only thing I had, sad to say, and it wasn't presented to me in an abusive, forceful way. It was I almost felt like I was a willing participant in my own abuse for years.
Yeah, and that's a major part of grooming. And a lot of persons can attest to that it's packaged in a way where it looks like it's normalized.
Right.
And I think a lot of times that part of abuse is not discussed. It's always the aggressive, takeover, control. But this was like it came on like a loving type of setup, and that happens a lot.
Yeah. So I was being abused by the same person who used to tell me, make sure you do your homework.
Yeah.
One minute he's telling me all the things that a father should be saying to me, and then still being inappropriate with me at the same time. So it's very confusing for me. And I think that's a reason that I didn't tell, because I didn't feel like I was being hurt.
Yes.
And it was, like I say, quite literally at one point in my life, the only form of validation that I had.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally can understand what you're saying. Now, how did that trauma shape the way you viewed relationships and yourself?
Terribly. Because, I thought that sex equal love. I never was interested in anyone my age. I always felt like, I needed to be around an older, more mature man. I craved the attention of older men. That only led to more abuse.
Yeah.
Because this person wasn't always around. They were in and out. They lived somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we even tried to maintain like this long distance, and I spiraled. And I did well in school, but a lot of time my attention was just in the wrong place, because I was so young. My priorities was just completely messed up. The relationship, it took me to a place, and it caused me to just keep craving this same love and the same attention and validation. So it wasn't good for me. And then me being promiscuous and young, and people, my peers, being able to see that in me was embarrassing for me in school.
Yes.
And it wasn't like I was trying to be this bad girl.
Right.
I just kept making bad decisions based on a bad foundation.
Yes, which is what you knew.
Yeah. And it took me a long time to forgive myself for a lot of mistakes I made. I told myself, well, if I making bad decisions, then I must be a bad person. And I never really understood how the trauma really affected my decision making and my self-esteem.
Right. And the thing is, because you were so young, it's so hard to identify or even give a word or describe what was happening.
Right.
So you
Mm.
can give yourself grace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt guilty for years until
Yeah.
I did therapy, when I went
Mm.
to rehab later on, when I did
Yes.
therapy, and someone told me this was not your fault, and it took so long for me to wrap my mind. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it was my fault. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was willing, like I wanted
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, you
No.
was around adults who was supposed to take care of you, not abuse
Yes.
you.
Yes. Now, looking back, do you feel like that moment where you experienced that level of abuse was what caused you to take a different path in your life?
Say so, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my
Mm-hmm.
bad girl persona that I
Mm-hmm.
had for years was built
Yeah.
around the idea that I am a bad person.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna smoke and drink and act out, and I don't see myself being in a healthy relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't see that for years. I'm
Yeah.
still in the process of learning to love myself, still in the process of forgiving myself,
Yeah.
still in the process of realizing that,
Mm-hmm.
stripping away the guilt of the
Yeah.
trauma. Like, it wasn't, I am a good person. Even though
Absolutely.
bad things happen, I
Yeah.
still deserve good things.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you pretty much ended up, as a survivor of trauma. Obviously people who I ever experienced trauma on some
Hmm.
level. I tell people all the time, there's levels to this. I've experienced trauma. I've had friends who've experienced trauma. So I feel everybody's experienced trauma. And so when we have levels of trauma in our lives, we find ways to cope,
Hmm.
right? And so with you ended up coping in a particular way. So let's see if we could talk about that a little bit.
If we're talking about my substance abuse,
Yeah.
well, that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the particular problem that I went away for,
Yeah.
that I talked about on TikTok, which was a cocaine addiction.
Yeah.
That wasn't something that I actually went out on my own and decided to do.
Right.
That was the product of yet another abusive relationship
Mm-hmm.
with a man who was much older than me.
Yeah.
I was 25, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already traveled, lived in a couple different islands,
Mm-hmm.
had a child. I was working on opening one small business.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was growing mature at a good place in my life, and I ran into a man that I had no business being around.
Mm-hmm.
And the gangster in him, or this ex-gangster that he portrayed himself as or whatever,
Yeah.
it was very attractive to me. But
Yeah.
it also seemed like he made it seem like he was that person. He wasn't that person anymore,
Yeah.
which it was a lot of deceit, a lot of lies. And sometime early on in the relationship, he introduced me to this. I wasn't interested per se. I was curious before, but it wasn't something that I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to pick up
Mm-hmm.
and try. Honestly,
Right.
it never crossed my mind.
Yeah. So your curiosity would have never brought you to this
No,
place.
no, no,
Okay.
no. So this particular
Mm-hmm.
smoking, maybe,
Yeah.
drinking, maybe,
Yeah.
but this level of drug use,
Yeah.
no, it was never something that my pain was never so bad that I wanted to turn to using
Mm-hmm.
cocaine. Never,
Mm-hmm.
never.
So pretty much your addiction came about because of this relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's really what it was.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I posted my story and people made it seem as if I was blaming this person. And I still take responsibility because I know I shouldn't have been with the person,
Mm-hmm.
as well as there was a window that I should have left.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
regret anything. I wouldn't change anything, but I do know there was a time
Mm-hmm.
I could have left. Or I did leave for a second and I came back because I told him, you keep your habits.
Yeah.
Let me do what I do and you do what you do, and we don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
But he had his plans.
Yeah.
He knew that I was naive. He knew
Mm-hmm.
that this was a way to control me. I've heard that I wasn't the only one that he ever did it to.
Yeah.
And so there was a moment where he really pushed it on me, like, just try it, just do it, just try it. And he minimized the damage that would be done. And I remember one time he even said to me, if I ever thought you would have get to this point, I would have never given this to you. But you don't do that to people.
Right.
You don't know what effect. Everybody have different
Right.
effects, and some people have what's called a addictive personality,
Yeah.
where you like something and you just want to, and that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So whereas I think he wanted me to join along in his fun,
Yeah.
it turned out to be very damaging for me.
Yeah.
And I was immediately addicted.
Yeah.
And he didn't do anything to help me keep this addiction at bay.
Yeah.
It was like from day one, just all out, and I completely lost myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That must have been hard.
Very
That
hard.
must have been hard. But in that moment, I guess you didn't really have time to think about it. It just happened so fast.
Right.
You know?
Because I didn't expect him to give it to me like that.
Yeah.
And the way he was like, oh, just try it. It ain't going. He really downplayed the effects.
Yeah.
He didn't tell me, oh, you ain't gonna be able to sleep. You wouldn't be able to eat.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose your appetite. You're gonna
Yeah.
lose weight.
Yeah.
It's gonna make you angry. You're gonna be short tempered. He didn't say anything like that. It was just, oh, just try it. Just try it. And
Yeah.
it was detrimental.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, I don't want to glamorize the addiction, because it's not something to glamorize, right? But I do want to ask you, and if you don't mind answering, you know, what was the first high like? And did it feel, what did it feel like? Did it feel like freedom for you, or?
It felt like power,
Mm-hmm.
not freedom necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you what's called delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
Where, like, I remember winning speech competitions in school. Like, it gave
Yeah.
me this similar high. And then I was in the process of starting this small business, and it just made me feel so powerful. Like, whatever I wanted to do,
You
I
could
could
do it.
do.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
the high is short-lived,
Mm-hmm.
which is why it's so addictive. You have to keep going back
Yeah.
for more. Like, you don't stay up there.
Yeah.
It's an extreme high. It's
Yeah.
very addictive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, you don't need to be. Anyway.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah. No, I totally get it, because I know, you know, I can imagine that level of feeling, that level of power,
Yeah.
and then
It's
feeling
a
that level of
powerful
power,
feeling.
you want to keep that level of power,
Right.
and so that's where it comes in. You want to keep going and searching after it. So
Right.
I totally get it. I've never experienced this. I can't relate to it like that,
Right.
but based on what you're saying and understanding how the mind works, I can understand what you're saying.
The second he gave it to me,
Mm-hmm.
and it hit me,
Mm-hmm.
I immediately said, "Oh, this is gonna be a problem."
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah.
I knew immediately.
Yeah.
It hurt. It burned.
Oh wow.
But I was like, I never felt this way in my life, and I
Yeah.
knew.
Yeah. Something
that-
shifted.
Oh,
Wow.
I was like, oh yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like this, but I didn't think it was gonna destroy my life.
Right.
I
Right.
didn't think
Right.
so at all.
Which brings us to the next question. When did you realize you are no longer in control?
Well, it went from
Mm-hmm.
he was supposed this was supposed to be me and his thing. He was supposed to always supply
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
and then when he didn't, then I started getting it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I'm not gonna bring this into my house. And then I brought it into my house.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tried several ways. When I realized that I had to fight myself to try to stop,
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh no. I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah.
And even then, for a while, for a couple of months, I convinced myself that I was in control.
Mm-hmm.
And I was comparing myself to him,
Right.
saying, well, if he functioning and if he is okay, then I'll
You
be
should
okay.
Yeah. You
That
should be
was
okay.
not the case. And between June 2020,
Mm-hmm.
by Christmas 2020, I knew I had to go to rehab.
Oh, wow.
Because I lost myself. Like the
Mhm.
small business I was doing completely died.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped going outside. I lost so much weight. I just spiraled completely out of control. Like the drug was just my only priority
Mhm,
beside
mhm.
my son.
Yeah.
And even then I could only give him the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, let me just make sure the kid is okay
Yeah. He
while
got
I
food and he has
right
something to
while
sleep.
I
Yeah.
go and live this life. And the time went so fast. I live a fast life for like 6 months
Mm-hmm.
until I realized like this is
Mhm.
out of control, and I knew that I
Mhm.
had to go and get help.
And that was quick though, for true.
Oh yeah.
That's like from, you said June to December.
Yep.
That's 6 months.
Yep.
That was
Yep.
quick.
Because like I said, there was no limit on it, and it was something that he wanted us to do every single day. And I spent so much time. I never had a chance to come down off the high. I was just high for months until it was too late, and I was like, oh shoot, all this time passed. I didn't realize. It's like my life was my life was going faster than me. I was in a daze, I would say, for months before I came back to earth and realized this is a problem. And then I left the relationship, but even after I left the relationship, I couldn't leave. I was stuck with this nasty habit. And that's when I knew, like, I had to go and get help outside of myself.
And the relationship with your family, how was that? How did it affect the relationship with your family?
Well, I'm very grateful that they supported me throughout my rehab. My mother kept my son the first time. I went 3 times.
But we're gonna get to
nobody ever. I mean, they didn't come down on me as hard as they probably could have.
That's good.
You know, there was a lot of compassion, a lot of understanding.
Good.
It could have been worse. Nobody ever threatened to take my son away. Nobody ever called me anything, you know, so outrageous. Like, nobody ever tried to belittle me about it. You know, we are kind of all just dealt with it the best we could.
And that's good. That's blessing.
Yes,
that's a blessing. Now, what was the lowest point in your addiction? Did you have a lowest point? And what was it? If you don't mind sharing. If you don't mind sharing.
Ooh, I might.
Girl.
I found myself. I had some pretty low points, especially where I found myself. When you withdrawal is a very ugly thing. So there was 1 or 2 times where I found myself. I don't think I want. I don't really want to answer that too much. But I had some. I had to. Let's just say I had some ugly moments. In addiction. Where I found myself acting out of character. Because of withdrawals and wanting to get this drug so bad, I associated with people that I never would have associated with otherwise. I would say my lowest point was when I find myself getting out of bed 4 o'clock in the morning, walking to the ghetto to buy drugs. That was like one of my lowest points. And because I can't even see myself. Like, sometimes I look back like who was that? But it has a way of, you're not yourself anymore. This thing takes over you. I used to feel like I had a bulldog chained to my leg.
Wow.
And it's like, it wasn't my life anymore. It's whatever he wanted.
Whoa.
I wasn't in control anymore. It's like, as soon as I wake up, like, do we have anything? Do we need to get anything? Do we need to be friends with someone to get something? It just controlled my every waking moment.
Let's sit in that for a moment, Brandy. Let's sit in that, because you can imagine, you just said it felt like you had a bulldog on your ankle.
Yes.
And it wasn't you just telling the bulldog what to do. It was the bulldog telling you what is that y'all needed to do.
Like I was in the passenger seat of my own life. Nothing was up to me after a point.
That's powerful.
I felt so miserable, because I'm like, all my dreams, all my talents. I was like, I was so convinced that my life was over. I was like, there's no way I could beat this. There's no way. Everything that I ever dreamed of doing, it's done. At one point I felt like my son would have been better off without me, and I started using so much. I wanted to kill myself. I started going above and beyond with the substances. I didn't have it in me to do it myself.
Right.
But I was trying to push my body to the limit
to let it happen.
When I wake up and I see the sun, I'd be like,
again,
another day I have to go through. Because I was so miserable. I was like, my life ain't even my own no more. I don't make my choices. This thing is choosing everything for me. It choose who
Oof.
I talk to. It choose where I go.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah.
that that is something I don't even know like if people could grasp the enormity of that. Like people need to grasp the enormity of that
Yeah.
so they could understand. And the reason why I want them to grasp so they could understand, they could sympathize. They could sympathize with persons who are going through,
Believe
and
it.
they could be there for them in a way, you know, that they need to be there for them.
Yes, believe it or not, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people
No.
have alcoholic family members, drug
Yeah.
addicted family members, and they look at them and they think that, oh, why are you doing this to yourself
Yeah.
every day? But some things when they grip you, they don't let you go. These things kind of have a mind of their own. They have
Yeah.
these are entities in a
Yes.
spiritual sense.
Yes.
So sometimes
Yes.
it take fighting, sometimes it take you have to go and get professional help, and it's nothing.
Yes.
That's nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
Some things are just bigger than us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, Brandy. That is so true. That is truth to power because, listen, it's bigger than us. It truly is, right? Now, let's talk about, I had mentioned a minute ago about being there for persons who are going through, understanding their plight, right? With addiction comes stigma,
Mm-hmm.
with addiction comes shame.
Mm-hmm.
And so we as family members who have persons who are going through, we have to be able to support them. So how is it that, or what do you want people to understand about addiction so that they could be able to support?
Addiction is a disease. It's a disease
Mm-hmm.
of the mind.
Yeah.
If someone choosing to regularly keep putting poison in their body despite the consequences, despite knowing that this can take all my money, this is going to kill me earlier, this is going to give me disease, and they still choose to do it, it's a disease of the mind. It's a mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
So it needs to be dealt with compassion. Not saying to enable a person, enable an addict, and just allow them to do whatever they want just because you feeling sorry for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to be met with a certain level of compassion because the average addict
Mm-hmm.
is tired.
Mm-hmm.
The average person you see, oh, this person drinking every day, there comes a point where you drink so much that you have to keep drinking because your body's so used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Withdrawal is very serious.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It's uncomfortable. So there's a lot of people that continuing to do what they do just because it's safe, just because it's comfortable, not so much that they want to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I used to be like, again, like, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing this. But doing it is easier than trying to not do it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people stuck in a rut. And if you want to help someone that you love, you meet them with kindness, you meet them with compassion, understanding.
Yeah.
You don't say, oh, you don't need to go drink again. Why you always, no.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that I love you. I just want you to know that there's better ways to deal with this. Why don't you come and let's do something different? I just want you to know I'm here for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be met with understanding, not force.
Yes.
Because you don't want to trigger an addict to just go do something, because the worst thing you could do is tell an alcoholic that he's an alcoholic, because the only thing he's going to do is keep drinking
That's
to
it.
try to forget that he's an alcoholic.
That's it.
Whereas a lot of addicts, they just want to be understood. They want someone to still, they want to know that they're still loved. They want to still feel human.
Yeah.
Because when you have something controlling your life, you start to feel very weak and powerless.
Yeah.
When you have something you constantly craving something. Oh, I need a drink. I need a smoke. A lot of people living as slaves to their addictions and their habits.
Yeah.
So for people who are stronger than that, we don't want to hear. We don't want to.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone coming down on us.
Yeah.
It doesn't
You need
help.
to stop doing this.
It
And you need to
doesn't
stop.
help.
No,
It doesn't.
no,
And
you,
it doesn't work that way.
Right. You're speaking to the wall
It doesn't work
at that point.
way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what would be the worst thing you can say to someone who is struggling with an addiction? What's the worst thing you can say to that person, in your opinion? Or what's
That's
the
a
worst
lot
thing
of.
someone may have said to you?
Boy, I think anything that any type of name calling, anything where you point the finger. I've been called cokehead, crackhead,
Mm-hmm.
all different types of stuff.
Yeah.
it doesn't
It
do
doesn't help.
anything for the addict.
Right.
No.
Right.
No. And
Right.
everybody has their vices. A lot of people addicted to, some people, they have their phones in their hand 10, 12 hours a day, scrolling,
Hmm.
but that's not as stigmatized as,
Right. Right.
putting something in your nose or taking shots to the head every hour.
Yeah.
Anything that points the finger, it could be very damaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that pretty much goes to how stigma can affect the recovery of an addict.
Of course.
Like, what is your take on that? Like, how do you feel the stigma of it all and the shame can affect the recovery of someone who's trying to recover?
It stops a lot of people from even getting help because,
Mm.
the thought of, oh, I have to go to Sunderland's, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
have to go to AA, oh, I'm a this, I'm a that. People looking at you like, a lot of people would be quicker to get help if there wasn't so much shame attached to regular these are regular diseases.
Yeah.
Substance abuse, I think the statistics, it affects 1 in every 3 people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's, oh, I need a drink. And there's levels to it. Like you said, there's
Mm-hmm.
levels.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of functioning addicts in our society,
Yeah.
including people in power.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
went to treatment, I was in there with lawyers,
Yeah.
people who are significant figures in the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these things need to be destigmatized so that people could know it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a regular thing, and it's okay to go get help.
Yeah. With that being said, let's talk about when you decided to go in to get recovery. You mean to get help, right? And so you said you went 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Um, I don't want to dismiss the first 2 times, but I would like to focus on the third time because I
Mm-hmm.
believe that's when the breakthrough happened.
Right.
So let's talk about that.
Well, I'll just say the first time I just thought that once I go and get treatment, I come back, I was good. That was wrong. I came back home and I did exactly the same things over and over. So I relapsed immediately. I relapsed all 3 times. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But it's only when I started applying the things that I learned in rehab,
Yes.
I started changing certain habits, and most importantly, I replaced a lot of people, a lot of my thinking, and my business definitely saved. That's my business is what caused me to completely put everything down. Not put.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much get yourself on the track you need to be
My
on.
business saved my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't easy because the program in Silence, unfortunately, it's only a detox program. It's not a full rehab program, which we desperately need.
What do you mean by that? It's not a full rehab program.
Okay, before COVID, there was a 9-month program where you go into detox for about 6 weeks and then you move into an extended program, because to fully detox off a substance takes at least 3 to 6 months. So the only thing they were offering me at the time was up to 6 weeks. So it wasn't sufficient, especially considering the amount of substance I was using before I went in.
Yeah.
Now, the third time, I had already gotten a grip on a lot of it, even though it was still hard for me. I knew that. I know the second time I was shamed to go back. The third time I was shamed, but I was like, I have to get this under control. This is bigger than me. I have to go, and you have to lock yourself down. You have to keep yourself away from all the negative stuff. And most importantly, you need medical help to withdraw from certain things. You can't just cut things cold turkey.
Right.
So it was only after the third time, and I was like, okay, I don't want to go back to this place. So I threw myself into my business, and that became the high for me. Getting clients, helping people. Because when I became a massage therapist, I honestly didn't realize the impact that I would have.
Yeah.
I thought it was just to help people relax.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when I realized,
I don't mean to cut you, Brandy. We're gonna get. Well, I want to get to that part.
go ahead.
But I do want to talk about. I want to stick to to rehab, right? And I want to find out from you: was there anyone at rehab who made an impact on you to cause you to make that 180?
Yes.
Yeah. Share that with us.
Yes. There were 2 nurses in particular, male nurses, that
I love my male nurses.
they really Shout out to
Uh-huh.
Nurse Claire and Nurse Josie.
Yeah.
Man, I remember one time I was going through withdrawals so bad. I had my bags packed up. I was ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a voluntary program. So the nurses, most of them, they was ready to release me.
Hmm.
And I was dying for someone to stop me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, well, anyway, just letting you know I'm leaving. And he said, please don't leave. Give it another week. Give it another week. And I say, when you in withdrawal, you find any reason you have to go. Every reason about. I said, my son's birthday coming up. I need to go home so I can plan. He say, you can't take care of your son unless you take care of yourself first. I say, okay, jeez.
Knock that down.
Every excuse I had, they they came at me with so much love and understanding and compassion.
Yeah.
And they always emphasize the best that they see in us clients there.
Yeah.
They don't look at us, they don't judge us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's really the love that I got in our facility that helped me to stay and to get the help that I needed.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, I have an affinity for medical professionals. I used to be a nurse one time ago in my other life. So I have an affinity for medical professionals, and so I can attest to the love that, especially in those recovery programs. I want to give a shout out to Sandlands, of course, right? And so I love that they shot down every excuse you had. I love that you wanted to get out of there. You were like, get me out of here. Let me go. In Nassau, you don't know where you was going, who you was going.
I would have been on the. I would have been on the streets.
Like,
they would have had me because I was looking for what I wanted. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
I was ready to go, and I'm so grateful that they helped me to stay, and I got the help that I needed.
Yeah, me too. I'm super grateful for that as well. Now, do you feel as if healing is a lifelong process?
Yes. Because pain is a lifelong process.
Yeah.
I think a lot of trauma happens when you're younger and you don't know as much. But things always happen, and healing, I don't think we ever stop healing. Healing is a part of growth.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Some things we kind of have to accept that it's never going to
take place.
Some things you don't get closure on. There's a lot of questions I never got answers to. But I accept. It's a lifelong process. I think a lot of times what causes a lot of substance abuse or us turn into so much negative habits is because we don't want to deal with our feelings. It's very hard to do the work of therapy and answering the hard questions. But if you looking for healing, there's always something else to uncover about yourself, something else to examine and say, well, maybe this caused this, but maybe I should do this differently. It's always something to fix. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I don't think it's something we should fixate on, because I think I know a lot of time personally, I was focused so much on what I needed to fix that I wasn't giving myself credit for the what growth that I already made. Yes, even now I'm like, I couldn't even function years ago. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, like, in terms of my business and stuff, when I feel like things ain't going my way, I tend to beat myself up. But we always have to remember, how far we came. A lot of stuff too.
Like the small things, you have to like celebrate the small victories. That's a big deal.
Like being able to wake up and not be craving. Whereas, like I said, I used to live with this. I used to live in the passenger seat of my life.
Wow.
So even now, to be able to get up, have an easy morning, take care of my son, all these small things, it's things that I thought I would never be able to do again because I was so under the influence.
I something just came to me, and I want to share this because when we were talking, I didn't get a chance to share this with you because it's something you said that I was able to relate to. I remember when I was growing up with my mom, she had a best friend, and at one point her best friend became an addict. She got hooked onto cocaine, and at one point, she had recovered. She had gotten off of it, and she was by our home one day, and she was talking about her experience, and she was sharing how she would be looking on the floor for things to snort or whatever, right? The white stuff on the floor, and I remember her saying that and talking about her experience, and I was like, wow, When you were sharing that, I was like, wow, this is so profound that the experience is universal.
Yeah.
It's once you are in that addictive space, everybody can relate to that. You know what I mean? And so what happened with my mother's friend, unfortunately, she never recovered to the
Mm-hmm.
place where she,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, but I remember my mom being there for her and supporting her and loving her. She was such a good friend to her,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget that. And that's why I have so much empathy, and I truly care, and I really want to be able to be there for persons as best as I can, and not just me, but the community needs to be able to show up for people who are
For each
going
other.
through,
Right.
because everybody is experiencing something.
Right. Just on
Everybody
different
needs help with
levels.
something
Just on different
on different
levels.
levels. You know what I'm saying? So that came to me. I had to share that. So I just want to segue now
Mm-hmm.
into some good stuff.
Okay.
So let's talk about some good stuff, Brandy.
Okay,
Let's
good.
talk about some good stuff. Let's talk about where you are now. Let's share. Like I'm gonna let you run with this. Let me know. Start where you are now.
Grateful, 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 grateful. Oh, grateful, grateful to be sitting here. Grateful that I made it out on the other end to tell this story.
Yeah.
Let me share
Yes.
one last little negative, but it's a
Yeah.
positive now. I have a laptop in my room that it is down now, but I keep saving it because I want to go back and see some things.
Yeah.
There was a point where I didn't see myself coming out of this, and I used to write like letters to say if I don't make it, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Like, because I always wanted to be in this position to tell my story, but I couldn't see how I was going to get out of where I was. So I used to write notes. I think I have maybe 7 or 8 goodbye notes on my laptop. Like, I'm sorry notes. You know, like when a person passes and you go through that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I ain't going to make it to be able to tell this story. So let me write these notes for people to find.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I was at. So, like, to be here, the gratitude is
Yes.
you have
Yes.
no idea.
Yes,
You have no
girl.
idea.
I celebrating with you. Yes.
My son is top of his class.
Amen. Awesome.
There was a time when I was ashamed to say, but when he was like in kindergarten, because when I was going through my addiction, he was, I think, like 3 years old. So he didn't need as much attention as he does now, or he wasn't as aware of certain things. Like I could have get away with more then. And sometimes I used to take him to school put P uniform on him on the wrong days. Like I was just so out of it all the time. Now me and him have the best relationship, the best friendship. I really I try to support him 100%. I have the focus now to be able to be there for him.
Yeah.
You know, mentally, emotionally, be there for him.
Yeah.
Obviously my business, even though we're experiencing a little hiccup right now and changing locations, you know, I have established a clientele that I love. You know what I mean? And it feels so good to be a part of other people's healing. And that's what ultimately brought me out of that last dark place where I was at after my third time of coming back. Because like I said, the time in rehab was short. I did relapse every time I came home because it just wasn't enough time. I didn't have enough time in there to really deal with my problems fully. But my business and finding this gift that I have, finding that I have these gifted hands and I could find these pains in people, and you know, like I feel like going through all of that makes it even that much more special for me, having this business, knowing that I had to go through my own healing. Otherwise I would never even been in this place to be able to heal other people. You know. So I'm just like so grateful every day. There was a time when I never used to come out the house. I used to have my blinds shut, like to keep my room dark all the time. Now I'm back. I'm going back to the beach, exercising, playing football again. There was a time I didn't sing for like 2 years. I didn't notice it, but I was just a shell of myself. Now, you know, I get in the shower, I sing, like I could function
You're
again.
back.
Oh my God.
Brandy's back.
Listen. Whew. Listen, I used to be so miserable. I'm like, this can't be my life. I was just ready to exit the game. I was like, ain't no coming back from this. I couldn't see the light. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see me getting back. I couldn't see myself ever getting a job again, much less working for someone else. Because I'm like, how could I function if my mind only on one thing all the time? I barely wanted to get up in bed. I didn't want to do nothing. It was a mess.
But now you're back.
Oh yes,
and we can
better
celebrate
than
that
ever.
better than ever.
Yes,
and you're doing wonderful things regarding your business. So
Yes.
before we wrap up, let us discuss, or just let people know how. We'll tell them about your business, and of course how they can get in contact with you if they are interested in what you have to offer.
Well, I'm a massage therapist. This is a gift that I never knew that I had. Like I said, when I got into the business, I thought it was for the purpose of helping people to relax.
Yeah.
And it wasn't something. It's something that someone pulled out of me. I didn't even know that I had this.
Yeah.
But since then, I gotten some certifications. Looking to open a new location once again. My number is 808-7379. I do mobile services as well, beach massages, sports massages. I work with geriatric clients as well. So you have older people that the massage is good for their mobility, for their flexibility, for people that just older people that have to stay in one spot all the time. I like working with them. It helps them and it boosts their mood as well. I work with a lot of student athletes as well, helping them prepare for their track meets, swim meets, whatever functions that they competing in. And I'm really looking forward to where I'm gonna go next. Even the whole thing about losing my studio. This I don't know if to add that to the list of traumatic experiences, but it's just one more thing that I now have to bounce back from. And I know when I open this, oh man, it's gonna be even bigger and better.
And listen to me. Listen, I have to give a shameless plug. Brandy, that massage. Hey, what you call? You said you have healing hands.
Yeah.
Listen, Charles, Brandy got healing hands because. Anyhow, y'all gonna have to experience it for yourselves. I'm not gonna give it away. All I can tell you is get that massage. That's all I gotta tell you all.
Yeah.
All right. But Brandy, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for being so vulnerable, for being so open, for coming on here and sharing with us your story, and for hopefully having someone hear this story and be able to get some relief, some resolve, get recovery. All right? Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yes, and so with that being said, Brandy, her story is powerful, her story is inspiring, because we want to create more content like this, and we want to be able to help persons get from where they are to where they need to be. And so with that being said, let the redeemed of the Lord tell their story, for he has delivered you from the hands of your enemy. Are you ready to tell your story? Let's talk about it.
Amen.